Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring a deeply fascinating, honestly kind of urgent paradox. We're looking at how acts of profound spiritual devotion are actually causing massive environmental destruction, and how ancient wisdom might just hold the key to solving a very modern crisis. Okay, let's dive into this.
8 million tons. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering, almost incomprehensible amount of floral waste dumped into Indian river systems every single year. It's like filling up thousands of Olympic swimming pools just with discarded flowers. We're talking about millions of devotees offering flowers as this beautiful gesture of purity and love. Yet, ironically, this sacred waste is completely choking the very rivers and ecosystems that these rituals were originally meant to honor in the first place.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real kicker here. It isn't just about decaying organic matter. Modern commercial floriculture has added a highly toxic layer to these ancient rituals. The flowers being offered today, they're heavily laden with chemical pesticides, literally pumping heavy metals like arsenic and lead right into the water supply.
Part 1. The biology of belief. So how did we actually get here? To truly understand it, we have to look past the logistics of waste management and examine the root cause. A fundamental philosophical shift has happened. Academic research identifies this as a reactive mindset. This occurs when the kriya, that's the mechanical completion of the ritual process, completely supersedes the bhav, the pure spiritual intent behind it. We get so hyper-focused on checking the box of the ritual offering that we become totally blind to the ecological damage we're causing along the way.
You can really see this mindset when you compare the massive industrial-scale accumulation of a South Asian marigold delivery, which represents this idea that volume somehow equals devotion, with the Japanese minimalist tradition of ikebana. Ikebana prioritizes giving space and life to just a carefully selected piece of nature. It's a completely different relationship with the natural world, right? It's one of reverence rather than mass consumption.
Part 2. A fundamental correction.
So how do we fix this whole mess? Interestingly, the critique of this environmental malpractice isn't even new. To find a solution, we can look back to a fundamental correction proposed centuries ago by the 15th century saint reformer Bhagat Kabir. He famously stated, "Pati tore malini pati pati geo." This roughly translates to the profound recognition of geo, or life, present in every single plucked leaf. Kabir essentially asserted that it's profound categorical error to destroy a living, breathing manifestation of the divine just to serve a lifeless stone idol.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how Kabir cleanly and scientifically mapped the Hindu trinity right onto the actual biological anatomy of a plant. Brahma, the creator, resides in the leaves, generating oxygen. Vishnu, the sustainer, is in the branches, distributing water and nutrients. And Shiva, the multiplier, is in the flowers, driving reproduction. It's brilliant. This leads to an incredibly powerful theological and ecological critique from the source material. It states, by plucking the flower, the devotee is physically dismantling the biological systems those gods represent. Think about that. In attempting to serve the divine, the devotee is unknowingly destroying the very mechanisms of creation, sustenance, and life. Building right on top of this, Guru Nanak offered an incredibly expansive, universal framework known as his Arthi. He described the entire cosmos as already existing in a state of perpetual worship. I mean, if the wind naturally acts as a fan, and the entire forest is already naturally offering its fragrance as incense, then the individual human act of plucking a flower to offer it, well, actually, scratch that. It's more like an act of human ego. It presumes the universe needs our physical intervention to be sacred.
Part 3. Global ecological reciprocity.
You know, this concept isn't strictly limited to South Asian theology either. It's mirrored globally. Take the Andean concept of Aini in Peru, for example. In their Pago a la Tierra, or payment to the earth rituals, they utilize a totally proactive, precautionary model. Devotees consciously choose to offer only 100% biodegradable materials back to the environment. They live by this absolute rule: never offer the earth what she cannot eat. Notice how beautifully and exactly this parallels Bhagat Kabir's 15th century insistence on not harming the living ecosystem. Across oceans and across centuries, the core message of recognizing and protecting the life inherent in nature remains exactly the same. We see this yet again in Japan with the tradition of hanami, the viewing of cherry blossoms. The celebration is entirely about appreciating living nature exactly where it grows. You don't cut the trees down to honor them. You sit beneath them.
This perfectly aligns with recognizing the divine in unplucked, thriving nature.
Part 4. Proactive environmentalism. All right, so how do we take these ancient philosophies from saints and indigenous traditions and practically implement this mindset shift today? Because let's face it, our current model is exhausting itself. We're totally stuck in a cycle of reactive environmentalism. We're endlessly expending resources, time, and money trying to clean up spiritual and cultural pollution after the fact, rather than just preventing the harm in the first place.
So, the crucial point is that we require a massive paradigm shift in how we teach and act. Traditional pedagogy focuses on a reactive cure, cleaning rivers after they're already polluted. But as Saint-Led pedagogy, which is driven by discernment, focuses on the fundamental correction, preventing the harm to the leaf before it's even plucked.
Let's move to a real-world example and see how this builds into tangible action. Take this incredible initiative from Germany. They've transformed ordinary bus stops into bee-friendly micro-ecosystems. This is a brilliant, modern application of proactive spiritual ecology right smack in the middle of Western urban infrastructure.
And similarly, in Utrecht, transit stops feature lush green roofs. Designing modern spaces specifically for biodiversity to thrive is the ultimate modern equivalent of honoring the living ecosystem. Instead of tearing nature down to build a city, we're building nature into the city. Now that is living devotion in action.
If there's one highly actionable takeaway to apply to your daily life from this explainer, it's the potty rule. This is the ethical practice of only collecting natural materials, whether you're using them for decoration, ritual, or study, that have already naturally fallen to the ground. It's a simple, super memorable rule that seamlessly aligns personal, spiritual, or cultural practices with global planetary preservation.
Ultimately, it comes down to what the source material terms Ram Bhakti. This is the profound recognition that the primary site of the divine, the sacred, is nature itself. Without recognizing the life inherent in all matter, the ritualistic plucking of a flower remains, at best, a useless service, and at worst, an act of sheer destruction.
Which leaves us with a deeply provocative question to chew on today. Is devotion valid if it demands the destruction of the life it purports to honor? Really think about your own cultural footprint, the daily choices you make, and how we can all move from a mindset of reactive cleanup to one of proactive, living respect. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll see you next time.